In our game, there are many different premium tier 10 tanks. In fact, there are 22 tanks in total. These are actually collectible tanks, but I'll call them premium tanks because it's more convenient for me. And I'm sure each of you would love to have at least one of these tanks in your garage, but since there are so many, picking just one can be quite challenging. Plus, these tanks are quite expensive. So in this video, I'll make a tier list of all the collectible tier 10 tanks and give some recommendations about them. I hope you enjoy watching. But before we start, I have some recommendation for you. Hey tankers, have not enough golds to buy a premium tank? That's not a problem anymore. Just because now you have an opportunity to earn a lot of golds absolutely for free. To do this, you need to download World of Gold application in Google Play Store and complete simple tasks like install games, play them, or simply watch the ads and earn gold for this. Also enter my code, ZM2AK, and get some golds as a bonus for beginners. And then you can receive your gold using a bonus code on official website. All the details will be in description and pinned comment. Let's keep going. Alright, let's go in order. We will start with the Sheridan Missile. I can immediately place this tank in the broken tier. The reason is obvious. Its missiles allow you to shoot at enemies while staying behind cover. Also, the tank itself often deflects enemy shells. However, this tank is only available in fun modes, so we won't spend too much time on it. Next up, the M60. This American medium tank really surprised me. I'd place it in the very good tier. Playing with the M60 is a pleasure. This is thanks to its super accurate gun, excellent turret armor, and good gun depression angles. However, there's a free counterpart to this tank. The M48 pattern. For this reason, I don't see a strong reason to buy the M60. Let's move on. Concept 1B. Honestly, this tank slightly disappointed me. The downsides include a turret that rotates slowly and is easily penetrated in the middle cupola. Additionally, its gun is quite weak, with a damage per shot of only 380, which is very low for a tier 10 heavy tank. Overall, I'd place this tank in the good tier. Let's keep going. T95E6. This heavy tank plays more like a medium tank. It doesn't have much armor, but it's very agile and turns quickly. That's why I really like this tank. Unlike the Concept 1B, it has AP shells as its primary ammunition, while the Concept 1B uses APCR shells as its main ammo. Overall, I'd place the T95E6 in the very good tier. I just love this tank. Next up is the XM66F. The first thing to note is its incredibly strong turret armor. Additionally, the gun has nice depression angles and excellent overall characteristics. It boasts high DPM, great penetration, and good accuracy. Despite its armor, the tank is also quite fast. I'd confidently place this tank in the broken tier. Playing with it is pure pleasure and relaxation. Let's move on. The German medium tank KP's-50T. Recently, it's been said to be one of the best medium tanks in the game, and this is true. However, to make the most of it, you need a high level of skill. The tank is fast, often bounces enemy shells, and most importantly, it has a very accurate gun with extremely high damage per minute. I'd place it in the very good tier. After all, not everyone can play it effectively. Next up, VK9001P, a favorite for most players and for good reason. This tank is incredibly well armored. When angling it properly, it's almost impossible to penetrate. But the most important thing is that it recently received a new mechanic called combat stabilization. Thanks to this, no matter how you maneuver while angling, your aim will always stay tight. I love this tank and would place it in the very good tier. Additionally, friends, I've decided to hold a new giveaway for you. The grand prize is the VK9001P. To participate, you need to join my Discord server, as the giveaway will take place there. The link will be in the description, and all the conditions will be in Discord. Let's move on. Object 907. This is a very fast Soviet medium tank. Its main advantage is its exceptionally accurate gun. Additionally, the tank features tracer shells, which means that after you shoot, the enemy tank will be detected for a full 20 seconds. In terms of gameplay, this tank is very similar to the Leopard one, which means you need a high level of skill to use it effectively. Personally, I like this tank and I'd place it in the very good tier. Next in line is the Soviet tank, T-22 medium. This medium tank was once very powerful, but now it's considered outdated. Players have learned how to penetrate its armor, and even armor buffs haven't helped much. Overall, it has weak armor that occasionally deflects enemy shots by chance. Its gun is weak, with relatively low damage per minute, lacks gun depression angles, and doesn't offer any unique features. In general, at tier 10, there are many tanks much stronger than the T-22 medium. I'd place it in the normal tier. Let's keep going. Object 260. Here, the situation is similar to the T-95E6. Both these tanks don't have super strong armor, but excel in mobility. I really like it for this simply gameplay. You can play it on the heavy tank flank or push enemy medium tanks. It does even have some armor in the turret after all. I enjoyed playing with this tank a lot, so I would place it in the very good tier. Next, a few words about the Object 777. I believe this tank is not adequately armored, especially considering it is slow and its gun performance isn't outstanding. When it first appeared in the game, it could bounce enemy shells reliably. However, like the T-22 medium, players have learned how to penetrate it effectively. Therefore, I would place it in the normal tier. Of course, you may disagree with me, as this is just my opinion. Overall, let's move on. Object 268 and 4. I really want to add this tank to my collection. However, it's important not to think of it as exceptionally strong. It does have incredible frontal hull armor. If you face the enemy head-on, they'll have almost no chance to penetrate you. But the moment you angle slightly, you become vulnerable to penetration from all sides. That's the main drawback of this tank. On the other hand, its gun is quite impressive, with high damage and a reasonably quick reload. Overall, it's a tank for taking it easy, not for dishing out damage. Therefore, I would place it in the good tier. Let's continue. Super Conqueror. I've placed this tank in the normal tier and it didn't impress me. Firstly, it's slow. Secondly, while its gun is decent, there are counterparts with much better guns. It's a rather dull tank and I don't know what else to say about it. The next tank will be much more interesting. Chieftain Mk. This is similar to the previous tank but better in almost every aspect. It's faster and more accurate when firing. Its gun has higher damage per minute, and its standout feature is HESH shells with increased penetration. The Chieftain also has a much higher credit earning coefficient. I would place it in the very good tier. This tank is truly worth its weight in gold. Let's move on. FV-217 Badger. This tank could use more armor. It's easily penetrated in the frontal hull, even at slight angles. Considering it lacks a turret, it's not easy to leverage effectively, even for experienced players. Honestly, I do like this tank, and playing with it is enjoyable. However, it can be quite challenging to rack up damage with it. Therefore, I'd rate it as good tier. And now, let's move on. 121B. This Chinese medium tank surprised me. It used to be one of the worst tanks at tier 10, but now it has several features that stand out. Firstly, it has an improved engine booster. Secondly, it benefits from the adaptive concealment mechanic, which helps it to remain hidden more effectively. Additionally, the tank has decent overall characteristics. Considering it also earns credits well, I would rate it as very good tier. Let's move on. 114 SP2, a very unpopular tank. I'm sure most of you have never even encountered this tank in battle. If I remember correctly, it was only available once in the game's history. The tank is decent and it's easy to play with. However, there are plenty of free alternatives that are stronger and more interesting. Therefore, it deserves the good tier rating. Let's move on to the next tank. WZ-111-5A. It's quite a controversial tank. On one hand, it's interesting and enjoyable to play with. But on the other hand, its characteristics are relatively weak. It lacks strong armor or exceptional mobility. Its gun doesn't have high damage per minute or impressive alpha damage. Therefore, I've decided to place it in the good tier. No offense if you happen to like it. Next is the AMX-30B. This tank also presents a debatable situation. On one hand, it's indeed a decent and interesting tank. On the other hand, there are tanks like the STB-1 and Leopard-1 that outperform the AMX. I think this is a significant argument. If free alternatives are stronger, then the tank isn't worth buying. It deserves its place in the good tier. AMX M454. I place it in the normal tier. The tank has several drawbacks. It's not very mobile, has low damage per minute, and poor accuracy. While the armor seems good at first glance, it quickly becomes penetrable when opponents switch to premium shells. I don't want to dwell on this vehicle. Let's move on. Caro 45T. Finally, something interesting. You can obtain this tank in an event by purchasing a special pass. As for the tank itself, I really like it. It has no counterparts with the same damage output. Just imagine it has 4 shells, each dealing 380 damage. It also boasts excellent penetration and reasonable accuracy. While it lacks armor, its unique turret and hull shape often cause shells to ricochet. Overall, this tank is highly effective, and I would even risk placing it in the broken tier. However, it's important to note that only experienced players can unleash its full potential and make incredible moves in battles. For everyone else, this tank would be in the very good tier. SWK. This tank is certainly very fast for a heavy tank, and its gun is super effective. However, its armor just ruins everything. Unlike the Object 260, which at least has some turret armor, the StrevK lacks armor even in its turret. Because of this, it's very difficult to capitalize on its strengths in battle. It deserves its place in the good tier. Once it gains some armor improvements, it could move up a tier. As you can see, there is no tanks on the bad tier, so I want to thank the developers for the good tank balance. Overall, folks, I hope this video was helpful and interesting for you. If you enjoyed this type of video, then I'll make another one focusing on tier 8 tanks. Don't forget to join our Discord server and participate in the giveaway. Also, earn free gold through the link in the description. See you all later.